Yo, we're live. We should be live. And we were just having a heated conversation about how Bilbo was the best Hobbit. He had he had the most confirmed kills. He stood up to his bullies the most, I think. At
I'm
the
really not sure if that's true, though.
I think
I
so.
mean,
How many kills? Like Frodo had like one or two kills.
let
Like
me check.
day one stuff.
I mean, but he got like the
One.
main kill, which he didn't actually get. So, I mean,
Uh,
I thought you might be right on
yeah,
this one. You
he
might
held
be
on
right.
to a ring. Okay.
Mm,
Okay. But Bilbo was just he was doing it, man.
yeah, Bilbo fought a dragon.
He was executing mother grabbers.
That is true. He
And
executed spiders.
sometimes you gotta execute. All right, guys, we are here on this beautiful Saturday to talk about um, bullies and
Speaking of which,
how you need to handle bullies. You can't let a bully ruminate, or it'll cause problems later. Um, Paul, you had the idea of doing this show because you had a little bit of negative dust up with some of your followers. You have a lot of hate followers. Like,
I do. It,
how do
this
you
wasn't. This
handle these
wasn't.
people?
This wasn't even my hate followers, which I appreciate all you guys out there. But no, this was in a local forum on my personal Facebook page. Um, I'm in a Facebook group in called the Delta County Message Board,
Mhm.
and people. This lady the other day posted a question in there because her 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 kid, she didn't specify the gender of the kid, but she's like, my kid has been having bullying problems at this one elementary school here. Has any of you other parents experienced this? And I'm just wondering what I can do about it. So this was a mother asking the community for their guidance on this sort of thing. And of course, all like a lot of the other mothers got in there and they're like, well, you should try to talk to the parents and you should try to talk to the principal and see what can be done. And we should talk and talk and talk. And I said, and I just went in there with what my dad used to tell me, which was, you know, have your kid go tell the teacher. And when the teacher doesn't do anything about it, tell your kid to punch that other kid square in the fucking nose. You know, that'll stop it. That'll stop it right there because most bullies are looking for easy targets.
Yes.
Don't let your kid be an easy target.
all alone
She
on
did not
that
like that.
easy target.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something that I think it's a blank slate issue that refuses to acknowledge the inherent like human behavior of like kids trying to dominate each other and find their place in the social pecking order and how reasoning and detentions don't really get the message across as well as a well placed no punch to the nose or a vicious headbutt.
Gut punch.
you know there comes a time when it is necessary, and so I teach people self-defense, and when I teach an adult, like, escalating the violence is the last thing you want to do. You're trying to keep yourself safe and get out and get away. Like, if I can keep you from even having to hit the person, that's the best. You don't need to get yourself into any kind of trouble. Hitting a person, knocking them out, causing problems, getting yourself sued, or a felony, catching yourself a case. So there comes a time, though, when you do throw the violence in. And one is if the person means you harm, they're trying to rob you, or they they're jumping out of somewhere, and trying to attack you, and yeah, you need to escalate. The other time is when you're a kid and you're looking at harsh bullying that could wind up, getting you severely injured or killed. We've seen some kids get killed in the past few years from bullying, right? Um, and
A lot of the times it's the kids that are getting bullied. They're just getting bullied constantly. And so they're like, well, I have no other recourse because my parents won't let me fight. The school won't let me fight. I'm just going to go in with a gun and I'm just going to take care of some kids. It's like, that's probably the worst possible.
I thought that was the red pill's fault, not bullies.
those red pill guys.
Those red pill guys.
Those red pill guys, and he wouldn't have gotten away with it if that weren't for those Midland red pillars.
So it's something that does have to happen. You do have to fight back sometimes. I will say there is usually one course of action that is also effective in a lot of these cases, and that's numbers. So it's like having a large group of people that you're friends with. Right. The more socially awkward you are, the less social you are, the less you spend time with other people and talking to other people, the more likely you're going to have a target over you to get bullied.
Yeah,
True.
that's a fact. I mean, when you're a young kid, you don't have a lot of social skills. So it's easier for those that bounce forward and understand how things work and that they can use the threat of violence to get what they want. They can easily bounce ahead of the kids that don't have good social skills and use it to their advantage. Unfortunately, the system that we live in is about being fair. So we really don't give those kids a chance to really, solve the problem on their own, which this is one of those problems that kind of has to be solved on its own. The more interference that parents have, the less likely the outcomes are good. So it seems. Have you guys experienced that? I have in my life.
I just don't think that you can have external interference and expect the problem to be gone.
Yeah, I have a story of it from my
I don't
son.
think you're not going to sit the kids in opposite sides of the classrooms and
Right.
it's just the problem's going to magically go away. It's one of those things. It's just they have to resolve it. They're going to have to go through something before it's resolved.
Yeah, I had to experience it in my life as well coming up, and I had very good coaching from my father. And I think that's what really helps. Definitely had a bully on the block and on the school that would ambush people. And ultimately, the ambush led into a threat where he was riding a high speed 10-speed bike very rapidly towards somebody being me, who just happened to be holding a eucalyptus stick. And putting it in the front wheel in between the spokes is really effective at stopping a bully that's trying to play chicken with you and ends that bullying pretty much forever with lots of scrapes and road rashes. But a lot led up to that. He was definitely a kid that eventually ended up in juvenile hall, but you definitely have to do something with bullies when they push too far. Fortunately, like you, John, I was able to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the 90s and teach it to my sons. My oldest son was bullied quite a bit and was punched repeatedly by a kid and witnessed by teachers. And as my son put him in a rear naked choke and made him do the chicken, who do you think got in trouble?
Oh, your son probably got in trouble for it.
The punches made nothing, but the kid actually convulsing on the ground from being choked out when he came to was too traumatic for all of the kids to witness, even though he wasn't harmed at all. However, he got suspended for 2 weeks, and I had a good conversation with him afterwards, and we did some great things. He was never bullied again by anybody, ever. That happened in middle school, and he garnered a tremendous amount of respect, and he did not continue on with his jiu-jitsu, but it was enough. It was enough that he never had to actually harm the guy, just got around and got back mounted and put him out.
I tell people a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah.
A little bit goes a really, really long way.
But the violence of striking was the big deal to gather up a crowd of individuals to bolster the bully. You know, he has a little social group. That backfired. The social group wanted to be friends with my son now, which he refused. But it's a really strange phenomena. They all flock to the leader. And the leader is usually someone who has some strength.
Big monkey beat the other monkey.
Sure.
It's prison rules.
For you guys that are fathers today at the show, do you think that when a kid gets bullied, do you think it's a wake up call for like, hey, son, you need friends? Like, where are your buddies to like back you up?
Yes.
It's like a wake up call for that.
Yes, you need friends, and who are your friends?
Yeah.
Yes. And you need to teach your sons where that threat of violence is going to cross the line, because some people will tell you what they're going to do and they mean it. This is going to be super controversial. That's when you take action. When it's meant and they're warning you, you get it. You get right at it.
Mm-hmm.
And you solve that problem immediately. You don't ignore it. You don't go to the administrators. You solve it right now.
I mean, I see it in the media where like people like go up to even fighters or people that are just chilling and they start talking shit. And the guy's like, you're in my face. You're talking shit. Let me sucker punch you now, embarrass you, get you out of, and I'll leave the situation because now's the chance. Because if I give you time to square up, like, then you'll be, I'll be in a disadvantage. And I didn't start anything. I'm just chilling,
I had that happen in high school. It wasn't really a bully. It was actually a friend of mine. He and I got into a fist fight because it was the dumbest thing ever. But we both had a mutual friend, and this mutual friend was dating this girl. And but my other friend who started a fight with me liked his girl. And we used to always leave campus and go eat lunch. And one day, she and I were the last people at the restaurant where we used to go hang out at. And so I was like, oh, hey, I'll drive you back to school. So I drove her back to school, and we were like the last kids coming back to school, and I drove her. And so my friend who had a crush on that girl was pissed about that. But like the girl's actual boyfriend was like, hey, thanks for bringing my girl back. Right. but the kid who had a crush on her was pissed about it. And so he's like, meet me by the Safeway after work. And I was like, okay. He's like, I just want to talk to you about something. I was like, all right. And so I go over there, and he starts getting in my face, and he's like, why are you driving her back? Like what was going on and stuff. He starts like getting in my face, pushing me and stuff. I was like, instead of de-escalating the situation, I was like, why the fuck do you care? She's not even your girl, man. And he's just like, he just kept getting in my face. I was like, you got to get out of my face, man. You got to get out of my face. And he wouldn't do it. So I just headbutted him right in the nose. And then we got into a little bit of a scrap, but that didn't last much long after that. But that ended that. That wasn't a problem after that.
Did your trainer use a potion on you after you used headbutt?
What?
Only Nuke gets that reference. I swear to God.
Was that headbutts are kind of devastating, for some reason.
I broke his nose. Yeah.
You need to be very precise. A headbutt is only possible with a certain part of your forehead. You really need to get the right spot.
Well,
otherwise, you hurt yourself.
I have a huge forehead. I didn't have.
Same here.
I'll be getting one soon, so don't worry about it.
This is all pretty fucking hard right here, and this is all pretty soft right here. So
a friend of mine who I used to.
Very effective. The forehead, the head, butt is very effective. Elbows, very effective.
A friend of mine who I used to skerfuffle with, he headbutted me in the chest. It's like, oof.
When you're headbutting someone in the nose, you don't even have to headbutt them that hard. It's just a tap, and that'll make them think.
You get that little nerve cluster in your nose right here. If you hit that, your eyes will water, their teeth will go numb, their nose will bleed, and they'll freak out.
In training, I saw a guy headbutt a guy in the solar plexus. It worked.
Oh yeah.
It was underneath.
Getting hit in the solar plexus in general is like,
yeah.
But hey, John, question: how many times did you get your nose broken?
I've had my nose broken 4 times. Twice wrestling. Twice just wrestling, and then twice fighting.
Oh damn.
Well, training for fights. They weren't in the fight that they broke. They were training for fights.
God, training always.
I mean, as long as the training is harder than the fight itself, you're training well, I guess. Fight was nothing.
Do you guys think that as time goes on, there's going to be more female to male bullies, like girls that are just?
I don't think
destruction?
I don't think there's ever been a lack of female to male. I think there's been plenty
do it
of
different.
female to male bullies.
They run the gamut.
Yeah,
With the
plenty
females
of-
do.
Especially when they're young. There's plenty of girls who bully guys.
Isn't that just
Yeah.
shit testing?
And then in high school, it's like the majority of the bullying comes from the girls, from my experience.
Yeah, girls
It's
are
all psychological warfare.
It's Wednesday, we wear black.
With each other. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I would say girls bullying girls is more destructive than men bullying other men, and then it's
Man, I hate-
confusing because I would the scenario for me is that when women bully other women, it kind of leads more to like self-harm and even worse because women when they get ostracized from a group, it's like death. It's like they get completely isolated from a friend group or from a group or something. It's like they die. For guys, when they get ostracized from a group, they're just like, well, it's me against the world. I better learn how to fight or something. And then for you guys, now that we're having a lot of more like OnlyFans chicks becoming moms and all that, and that, do you think that these kids that are growing up with mom with content and still have content up, right? If you're mothers, do you think that you laugh, right? But there's already news stories coming out. Do you think that these people are going to have to like go to John and be like, hey, my son's getting bullied, what do I do? Or something, or anyone that's professional?
Maybe, I think I might be making some money.
Yeah. John's gonna make a lot of money in the future.
Anti OnlyFans bullying.
And you know what's on the increase?
Coming soon.
At least here in my area, there is a large Hispanic population, and the Hispanic females really bully each other and bully other females at an extraordinary rate. You can read about it all the time. It's pretty wild. With violence.
This is going to be the new bullying.
It is. It's pretty wild. I mean, the more mashing they get, absolutely, you can see it.
And I think it's going to come from both girls and boys and we joke about this. And sometimes I feel like, hey, no, this is a stretch, it's not really that serious. Right. But also my brother, he was in education. Right. And he deals with this kind of stuff where, now we have airdrop, right? Where if you have a dirty picture of someone, if you're like a high school student, you're 14 or 15, and you have a dirty picture or someone doing the act, you can airdrop it to the whole school because kids have cell phones now, right? And that actually happened, right? He caught someone in the bathroom, an older woman, or not say woman, but she was a child, she's still like 17, with a younger child, a dude, 14 years old, and they were getting it on. So he walks in there and says, hey, break it up, stop this bullshit, and both of you go to the principal's office, right? And someone recorded it. Someone was in the bathroom recording, and they airdropped it to the whole school, right? And that's the level of bullying we're going to have now, is that it's going to be with phones, and it's not the reputation destruction, and guys are going to have to like learn how to navigate that, because even the nicest, chillest guy can get caught up in, and it's like we see it at YouTube and people, content creators, where they're constantly trying to like dig about people's past from like 5-10 years ago. Oh, you said this tweet, or you said this thing. But with high school boys and girls, it's going to be like, hey, I saw you making out with this, and here, airdrop it to everyone, including your mom, anyone that has an iPhone, So I think that's something that, I think John's going to make a lot of money in the future.
that what you were saying there, Nuke, happened to me with that that tweet about Scarlett Johansson. Like, some people went fucking crazy and started digging up my past. And they started digging up like old YouTube videos from like 20 years ago and stuff. And I'm like, wow, you guys went deep.
20 years ago. Holy
Some people are
really having the feels.
Yeah.
Some people are vile, like evil, disgusting creatures. They truly are. They really are.
cool.
Like Sergio from Purple Pill. Like he's a disgusting human being. Let's be honest with it.
Well,
Shots fired.
I don't fucking care. He's a disgusting human being.
he's different, and it's not dishonest what you said. It's just the style he's adopted and chosen to take, straight
No,
up.
but it's like Paul just makes a meme, and a lot of guys go on that for a woman they will never meet, they will never talk to, things like that. And now all of a sudden, Paul is the bad guy, and he needs to be dragged through the street and tarred and feathered.
That
Like
only
the
happens
old
on
guy,
Twitter.
this old guy.
Yeah,
with
it's,
opinions.
it's such a small
This old
amount
bald
of
guy with-
complainers, though.
Oh my god.
That only happens on Twitter. It's hilarious because I post the same.
Dude,
shit.
you made it to Stefan Molyneux. I never told you.
What?
Really?
No.
Yeah, so I was listening to Stefan Molyneux. Let the theories go, by the way. It's like, oh my god, is Jack? It's like, well, I do listen to Stefan Molyneux.
Wow.
But
I don't even know who that is, but okay.
But all of a sudden, he was like, "Oh yes, I remember that. It's like the guy on Twitter who said Scarlett Johansson was a total mid. It's like absolutely preposterous. Scarlett Johansson's a beautiful woman, and this was just rage baiting." Blah blah blah. blah. He didn't mention your name,
Yes.
but your tweet made it.
Well, it's when Rolo said in our group there, he's like, Paul, this is your vasectomy moment. Like,
Yeah.
thanks, Rolo. Yeah.
Every woman is going to have mid in her future. I'm sorry. Just the way it goes.
Let's be honest here. Every woman's a mid without makeup.
Yeah,
Just
of course.
It's like
Mids are the
10, the 10 is an ego investment and makeup. It's like that's it.
Oh, yes.
Well,
Yeah.
let's be honest. No woman is a true 10 unless your ego invested in her.
It's marketing. 10s are marketing.
It's all subjective anyway.
Yeah, I know. Like Paul likes men and things like that. They're not my taste, but for him, those are 10s. It's like, yeah, I mean, all the power to him.
It's a new millennium,
the world's full of
Jack.
them.
Yeah, it's a new millennium. I know, but let me be a bigot, you know.
The 49ers are going to go crazy. And then
So
the Giants-
this is something that has to be taught to the little kids again. The guys again. Sticking up for yourself. Now this is something too that in generations past there was just roughhousing.
Yeah.
When kids went out to recess, they did feats of strength and Indian leg wrestling and arm wrestling and monkey bars stuff and other wrestling. So the kids were always kind of testing themselves.
Sure.
And that's been kind of cut out. The men's spaces have been cut out. So these kids aren't getting a chance to learn how to move with their bodies and wrestle and see what they're capable of.
Yeah.
So now they have to artificially find a way. If you're not able to do it, I always find that kids with brothers and sisters, they tend to get grappling and tend to be tougher.
Dude, my brother
Because-
used to beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, because they because they grew up fighting. Right? Regardless of what technique they know, they're tough because they grew up fighting. They always had a sibling around who was either challenging them all the time or who was kicking their ass all the time.
You realize how valuable that actually is in a child's life, particularly males.
My youngest is so freaking tough.
Well, it pushes them beyond the envelope of what they can think they can do, and also opens their eyes to what other people can do. That grounds a person. And one of the things that the advantage of having bullies around and working through it is learning that skill of not being a victim, because most bullies assess on a subcommunication level, body language, posture, what you're projecting. All of those things are learned through physicality in a lot of ways, or through real mental superiority, thinking it their way out thinking a bully, things like that. And so if you were to take that away from a lot of kids, they are very inept when they become adults and teenagers. I mean, very awkward. seems like that's something that can be learned relatively early, right in through middle school. And some kids really come out stronger for that and better, recognizing what their capabilities are and what other people's capabilities are and why some of these people want to push. And as an end result, I've seen some bullies that are just testing the waters. And as they bully their victim, they become very close friends, lifelong friends. Have you guys noticed that as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the betterment of some of them.
I've never seen the bullies and the bullied become friends, but I've seen people who just didn't like each other.
Okay. Yeah. It's probably more like that. They started out as kind of bullying, but then morphed like that wasn't really them. They were just testing waters because they watched other people do it. Seen it a couple times.
Question for you guys. Where would you guys draw the line between hazing and bullying? Let's say one of your son wants to be part of a group, like let's say a football team or, cadets or whatever group of stuff. And they're like, yeah. And then he tells you, hey, Dad, they're hanging me upside down on a rope and hitting me with stuff or whatever.
I would say the
difference
is tradition.
It's rites of passage as well. Everybody does it. That's not really bullying.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rite of passage to belong to the tribe, join the hunters, become a man.
It's like, did you do shellback or anything like that?
Blue nose.
Blue nose. Okay.
Yeah.
Same concept, but yeah, I mean, you basically get your ass kicked for several days on end, and then at the end you get to kick everyone else's ass. It's it's a tradition that goes back thousands of years.
I say this because there's disingenuous people. There's the kind of bullies that are like, look at this guy, look at this kid. We're gonna bully him, make him think he's part of the group, and then he never gets initiated completely, right? So that's what I say. Like, there's hazing where like their full intentions. I want you to pass. I want you to get through this process, so you guys can be one of us. But you need to do this. And then there's like, we're gonna make him think he's part of the group and just embarrass him. And then at the end, we're just gonna always treat him like he's less than us, something like that. So something to look out for. I've always thought about that when it comes to joining masculine groups or something like that. So.
I'm just trying to think. I don't think I've ever experienced that or even heard of that happening. Do you know of a situation where that's actually happened?
Yeah, it happens. It happened in the military with some guys where they would hang out with newer guys. Like some assholes would hang out with like newer guys and then, buy them drinks. And then the guy's like, well, I'm finally kind of like one of the boys, and then at work they're just completely treated like trash. Like completely, like not even like a cool masculine way, just like they're just being a dick, right? And the guy's like, well, I'm confused. Like they treat me a certain way, but like when it comes to work, they treat me like shit. And then I've had to step in and be like, yo, like you're not even supposed to be, like which one is it? Like tell this kid to fuck off in both, like both in your work life and private life, right? Or accept him in both, like one or the other, right? Because this is gonna mess with them, and this, like you're being a dick. You're not trying to be a masculine. This is nothing masculine about this, right? So yeah, it's just something I've seen. And what I used to do when the younger guys join the military and they want to hang out with me, right? I would always tell them, hey, we're cool, but work is work, like, and I guess it applies to young boys, like, hey,
well, Nuke, that's really important because that is a super good example of leadership in that group. That is a problem with the leadership of the group, and you are assuming charge of the leadership of the group. I've experienced this doing power line work because the consequences of death if you mess up. So that's something where you can't set aside and watch somebody be excluded from the group. They either get fired and move on and you save their life, or they step up and you save their life and they can do the work. So that's a leadership issue, I would think, inside of a group when you're being hazed, but you're not really being accepted.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
that's a bad leadership group. Yep.
Yeah, Thor always makes it more succinct than I do.
No. I've just been beat up.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like hey, like the word hazing is a very bad word now in the military. It's a criminal offense in the military. Like I've seen. Yes, it is a criminal offense. You will lose rank. You could get in lots of trouble for even, if it's seen as hazing, right?
So,
and you know,
Just rename it ranking.
yeah, and there is a lot of secret hazing that goes on in the military that everyone keeps secret, right? But I've also seen where it's like in being a nuke, you have to treat guys that aren't fully qualified yet like they're useless. We call them non-useful bodies, nubs, right? And you do that for 2 years. You tell them, yeah, you suck, get qualified, you suck, right? And what I noticed, right, is that once you figure out that this guy is going to be a good reactor operator, is going to be a good sailor, you start kind of like, hey, want to hang out with the boys? Start giving them a taste of what it is to be like one of the good old boys, one of the elites, right? And then that kind of gets them over the edge over the last parts of the qualification process. And I'm guessing like football teams do this too. Once the rookie starts like, doing well, they're like, they start giving him his flowers and all that stuff. But it would suck for a guy to work really hard from the beginning and all the way to the end, and they just treat him like trash. And they're like, no, dude, it's just hazing. When in reality, they just don't like him, right? Because he's doing so much better than everyone else. And I've seen that too. I had a guy that he was super chill, very nice guy, like one of those Southern Christian guys that are like super, didn't he curse or anything like that? And everyone's like,
heart.
yeah, and he was smarter than everyone. Like he would pass every test with flying colors, super smart guy. And I noticed that people would like dunk on him all the time. And I'm like, they're dunking on him because he's going to outshine everyone because he's that intelligent, right? And that competent. And I could see it. And I would tell people, like, I would have to defend him and be like, dude, I want to let you know that they're doing this because they're afraid that you're going to make them look bad. Trust me. Trust me. Just don't take it seriously, right? So I think one of the best ways is to always have that bro or someone to like kind of level you out before you take any big action,
Oh, that's the beauty of quality leadership is.
Yeah.
I take a lot of pride in it. It's very fulfilling to actually bring somebody along that's not that confident, and you see it in them before they do. That's the brilliance of that. And hazing, let's just not call it hazing, but let's say ranking as you're going through a group, any group, dragons, beer club, whatever. There will guys rise to the top and guys that fall back. And as you express good leadership, you pick the guys up that deserve it at the bottom, just enough to where they can stand on their own. That's a really good thing, and hazing will reveal that to you. I think there's a certain advantages to it. I think it's been carried over the top by complete stooges that don't fully understand and make it a game for their own entertainment.
There's going to be a level of just your own personal comfort too. Some things you don't want to do. Maybe that group's not that important to you.
That's true.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. There's gonna be guys that be like, what the hell?
Find a new group.
Yeah, find a new group.
Yeah. Like, oh, you do what with your butt? No.
Yeah.
Those damn red pill guys. Oh no,
Yeah.
that's brown pill guys.
Yeah, like they're guys get bullied for everything nowadays. Like if you're like if you're sitting with a hot chick under a tree in high school during recess, guys will bully you for that. Like, oh, you like her, she's a slut, whatever, blah blah. Like they'll find anything, right? And then you'll realize that it takes guys years, probably decades, before they realize, oh, they were bullying me because they're insecure and I'm better than them. This my whole life I thought I was a loser.
Throwing salt in the game.
Yeah, that's why banter is such a lost art. It's like, oh, don't you know she's a slut? She sucks dick. Yeah, she does mine. How about yours? Don't see her on your dick. Loser.
Yeah.
Like,
Jack, that's our next course. Advanced shit talking.
Oh man, can I film the whole thing?
Yeah.
Like, just put me in front of Paul for 1.5 hours. Let me go. Give me the green light.
We gotta have an episode on banter and shit talking.
Yeah, Cappy needs to.
Cappy.
All our episodes are banter and shit talking. That's
I know it.
Even Ryan mentioned that. It's like guys were asking him, like, yeah, can Rule Zero do a show about banter? He's like, that's
everyone.
Yeah, literally every show.
Yeah, John, question for you. Do you think like showing indifference toward your bullies will escalate or de-escalate? Because there's like some bullies that will take it personally if you don't react, like.
I think you always need to address threats. That's something I don't like seeing people do, acting like whatever is there isn't there and it'll go away. I think you always have to be ready, like turn towards the threat. I think be ready for anything that happens. You're less likely to have something happen because if you're not looking like something that's weak, if you're not look like an easy target, I think you're less likely to have somebody mess with you. You should also be training. So if you're training, then you should be in a good position to defend yourself if they do want to get frisky.
I think social awareness should be.
But you got to be. It's preparation, man. You got to put yourself in the situation over and over again, so that if it does happen, you're all right. Everybody just thinks there's some magic switch or magic spell.
But John,
And I get excited when I see red, when I'm threatened, then I'll do it, and it'll even though I've never even tried to practice anything before.
I've noticed
and it'll wow.
I've noticed that when you're dealing with bullies, agree and amplify and indifference does work a lot of the time, but it doesn't work every time. And that's where knowing how to fight is paramount, because at some point you just got to punch somebody in the nose, Yeah.
So that's
you also got to learn about them. I mean, if you're around them a lot, don't ignore. Look at their social circle, understand a little bit about their circumstances, what's going on there. You can use that to your advantage. It's just normal reconnaissance of a potential enemy or a threat. Always important. I know John would always be prepared. That's why he's training.
When you grapple a lot, when you sparred a lot, you're gonna start recognizing just the body language and
totally
understand the space and distance between you and how much space and distance it takes them to get to you and do things. You're just going to be more comfortable.
Let me plug John too, because he did his self-defense course and I was super impressed. He let me look at it. Dude, you got to drop the link, because one of the best things for any adult man, any young man, it's about defending yourself and to be prepared with that knowledge. You'd be surprised how lacking it is, because people get the concept, I'll just punch him in the face, I'll punch him in the nose, and I'll be it, Real life's nothing like that. And John expresses it so well in his course. I really like that course, John.
Oh, that's actually a good point, Thor. Sometimes you punch a bully in the face. Sometimes you get your fucking ass kicked. But the thing is, if you stand up to most bullies, if you stand up to them, even if you get your ass kicked, you get a certain level of respect and they leave you alone.
Yeah.
True. But you kind of also want some social awareness, because like hitting somebody in the face isn't always the best answer, because you never know, especially in the States.
So
what if this guy is carrying?
That's what my whole practice course is. There's no striking in it. It's all hand fighting, getting it down.
Get away. Yeah.
2-on-1 underhooks, snap downs, pushing away, getting away, that type of stuff. Real self-defense, getting away, get my ass out of here.
And then the legal ramifications too, which is can't be understated as you get older.
We don't need to get charged for knocking somebody out or kill somebody because their head hit the ground when they were falling. We also don't want to break our hand, so let's just get out of there.
Even my kickboxing instructor used to say.
So, there's a big difference between an adult dealing with an adult's bully and a kid dealing with a kid's bully.
Yeah, I mean, as a parent, you can just
we have a lot more legal ramifications. We have a lot more punishments and things going on. So, but we also have more tools legally that we can deal with a bully. But the kids, there comes a point where you just have to fight back. I think if it's gotten to that point where you have to fight back, there's been a lot of breakdowns along the way.
Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately, you probably haven't been training in any martial arts, because if you were training in martial arts for a number of years, you'd have probably a social group. You'd probably have a network of people that you were friends with. You'd probably be a little bit better at making friends because of that. You're more comfortable, you're more confident. you probably wouldn't even get bullied at your school because of how you walk around with confidence and how you talk to new people, and you're cool with a bunch of people, and you may be the person who like wags your finger at bullies who mess with other people, you know. How many of you guys have had formal martial arts training? Paul, you had some karate.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, some Kyokushin. The point sparring, like Karate Kid type karate,
My
or just katas.
no, we did sparring, we did self-defense, like practical self-defense. It was actually a mix of several different martial arts that he taught us. And we learned how to defend against, knife attacks and, guys sticking guns in our back and all that kind of stuff. We actually didn't do any tournaments at that dojo because my sensei used to do kickboxing a lot, and then but what he taught us was it was all supposed to be about self-defense and not he didn't like the idea of competition after some point. I don't know. He was like, it's not the point of it. So I ended up doing a tournament. I went to another taekwondo school to go get that experience at some point when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But that school was all about self-defense. We learned a little bit of Aikido, a little bit of judo, a little bit of karate and stuff like that. And it was all just a mix because he was trying to make a more practical martial art is what he was trying to teach us. But yeah, I mean, it was a really good experience because before I got into martial arts, I was a hothead. I was that little kid that was always getting into fights. If a bully would just look at me wrong, and I was just like going after it. And and I used to get in trouble all the time. I'd be in the principal's office every day for fighting and stuff. And finally, my parents ended up my mom didn't want to put me in martial arts at first because she thought I was just going to be more of a fighter. But really, it chilled me out. It chilled me out because, a lot of that does teach you self-discipline. It does teach you how to de-escalate things. It does teach you how to think a little bit. It was highly beneficial. Even if you aren't trying to teach your kids to fight, just the mentality aspect of martial arts is good for kids.
Yeah, I'm a little older, so I lived through the 70s. There was a lot of bullshit that went on. A lot of death touch type of stuff, and but
The Dim Mac.
Exactly. But Bruce Lee did leave us with something that helped, about use what works, and so that was interesting. I wrestled in high school, and then of course, a little bit later on, when I was 30, I joined a gym in '92, which was the Gracie Academy in Torrance, and I stayed there for 6 years, and then I went to Pedro Cabral. I earned a stripe on my purple belt. But when I was with the Gracie Academy, I got to roll with a lot of interesting people. I lost a tournament to Dennis Kang. Yeah. So it was fun times, but the injury rate's high for an older guy. Eventually, that caught up with me in the early 2000s. I used to corner some guys. One of my good students was Jason Lambert. I know you know him. So we had some good times. I have not trained, and I miss it terribly in 15 years.
Before.
Yeah.
What about you, Jack? Any training?
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I did judo for about a year, and I stopped, and I did kickboxing for 2 to 3 years, and I absolutely loved it. I really do love that sport. Unfortunately, I did it with my best friend, and work and time and everything got caught up with us. But there's a lot of things I learned about just being capable of violence doesn't mean you need to be violent. And when I was a kid, I, in all honesty, I got kind of beaten the shit out of at home. So, but
Didn't need to contract it out.
No, I didn't need to contract it out. But like when okay, this might be a little bit of a touchy subject for certain people, but where I live, we've got pikeys around here, trailer park folk. And
Is that what they call
yeah, the trailer park folk didn't take too kindly to the goth kids and
Oh,
like the
boy.
hard rock kids. And like I used to have hair to like my elbows.
Mm.
They like I was a target for those guys where it's like
You
I
did
was a
yeah, like that.
yeah, I was a filthy alternative and this like that and blah blah blah. And they always made up things. They always made up stories like, "Hey, you called my girlfriend a whore, didn't you?" It's like, I've never seen your girlfriend. Well, she tells me you called her a whore and a slut. Well, shit, you're telling me she's a liar? It's like, oh fuck. So you couldn't win. You just could not win with them. And there was one moment, and I remember this very fondly. Well, not fondly, but I remember this very well. I was surrounded by like 15 to 20 of these guys from the trailer park because one guy kept saying I called his girlfriend, who I had never seen, a whore or a slut. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to get away with this? Like, because that's how they'd always do it. They'd gang up on you. They'd always gang up on you. And for some miracle, I managed to talk my way out of it. I don't know how, but I was also friends with one of the guys of the Turkish families around here. Now, there's always a thing between the trailer park people and the immigrant people. Fortunately, I had one of the Turkish guys in my class, and he kind of watched from the distance what was going on, and finally I talked my way out of it. He walks up to me, he's like, "Okay, Jack, what the hell was that?" I'm like, something about wanting to ending my life kind of thing. He looks at me, he's like, "I'll take care of it." I'm like, what? I was like 16, 17 at the time. Yeah, 16. And next day I get to school and I run into him. He's like, "It's been taken care of." I'm like, what? And I run into that guy from the trailer park and he doesn't even look at me. Doesn't even look at me. Now, I don't know what that Turkish guy said to him. I don't know what the Turkish guy did to him, but I was never bothered by the trailer park folk ever again. Ever. And since I learned like kickboxing, I just never had the sense of needing to get into a fight. When I saw aggressive people, I always knew by, like, John, you know this, like you've been fighting for years. You know at a certain point when somebody can fight or not. And when like people will get aggressive, I just looked at them and I'm like, you don't know how to fight. You're just yelling really loud. And the calmer you were to them, the calmer they became. That's kind of what I mean with the social awareness. Like if you go head first into it, then yeah, it will escalate. But as long as you stay calm towards them, they get way calmer. It's like, it's okay, buddy. It's like, I'm not gonna do anything. You don't need to do anything. I believe you right away. You can kick my ass. Because that's even what my kickboxer instructor said. He's like, look, I've been fighting for, how long have I been fighting? 20 years or something like that. Did tournaments, whatever. Been teaching for ages. He even said, look, if I go out wherever, whenever, and some guy is drunk and walks up to me and he tells me he's got the biggest dick in the world, he's like, fine. You know what? I don't care. You have the biggest dick.
I don't need the trouble. We don't need the trouble.
Yeah, we do not need the trouble. He's like, fine, you've got the biggest dick in the world. He's like, that's how you handle that. Because first of all, probably 9 times out of 10, they want a fight and they want to escalate. Then they probably can't fight and you can. Third, when the police finds out, you are the one who's fucked because you're the one who's capable and you were the one who was capable of de-escalating. So don't do it.
Exactly. Hey, do you guys mind? Oh, I don't see Paul here right now. Well, when he gets back, but guys, I'd like to take this question and maybe see, bullying evolves. You see, it goes to another level, and the Marxists are really good at it here, the social Marxists. But realize this: in corporate America, institutions have been built within corporate America to really cover for bullying. DEI has become one of those, and as you get on teams, project teams, there are things at stake. The amount of sabotage and bullying is subtle. It's a very mental situation. And this is why you really need to learn how to deal with these threats early on and learn how to deal with them in a nonviolent way in some cases as well, through wit, shit test passing, and planning. I kind of alluded to it earlier, John, where I don't know if any of you guys have any examples. I have a few, but this can be really damaging to a person when their livelihood is at stake and they don't even know they're the victim of bullying. In many cases, it's been made legal because of DEI, HR policies, and whatnot. As a person feels unwelcome by someone's presence, that's actually a legitimate complaint that is legal to make. I am feeling unwelcome by a certain person's presence. I swear this is true, and this is right out of California. So, in many ways, in academia and in corporate America, bullying has been institutionalized in a legal fashion under the guise of, being diverse and inclusive and being non-offensive and unwelcoming. Have anybody
Administrative
here?
violence.
And it's
Administrative violence. Yeah.
Terry Pott, my friend, is very good at understanding this because he was on the cutting edge of it where it came from. Really got built into the government through contracts and PMCs and things like that. And he recognized it right away. He's got videos way back. In fact, he wrote a book, right? Or a course, Administrative Violence.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of bullying that does occur under the guise of servant leadership. Look it up. It's a really strange thing. I mean, it's just, rule by committee. I mean, you can see that bullying definitely occurs in corporate America in a huge way, but it's subtle and legalized, at least here.
But that's mostly because it's so feminized these days. Like if men used to have an issue with each other, it was very simple. Like, listen up, you bundle of sticks. We have a problem, and yet we need to work together. Yep. Now, it will be a blessing if you can find a man like that these days, because you can't, because men have become just as passive aggressive as most women. But in the workplace, in general, because it's so feminized, prepare for hell, because it's all turned into Game of Thrones backstabby, back whispering nonsense.
With state guidelines making it kind of official. Definitely, you have to be super aware. So when we talk about, training early as a young man in the violence aspect and where you can go, all super important things, but it has to evolve because there is another level to this bullying, so to speak, that
women
can be
will
life impacting.
Women will bully you more than men throughout your life. It's very obvious. It's going to be administrative.
Where frame, I think frame comes into play heavily.
Yes.
Is whether or not, are you going to take that? Is your frame going to allow you to have this happen right now?
Right. And, one of the things is we're raised as men sometimes to face things head on. It shifts slightly when your livelihood is in place. You kind of got to understand a little bit of lateral thinking and how to outmaneuver people. Strategy is the best. I mean, you got great resources out there like Robert Greene's books on war, laws of power. If you understand how to outmaneuver or just work with people, you can have enemies love you and you can accomplish your goals and still succeed, even in an environment where the women want to bully you. It really is dependent on your behavior and how you can recognize it. When you want to push back all the time, boy, they lock right into sign language, which is fully supported by corporate DEI and ESG. I know I'm talking a lot of acronym, but those that know will know. I mean, we're just here shooting the shit. Definitely seen it happen to a lot of my friends. I stand for principles. I'm going to push back on this. And they're in another city, in another job with less money. And they were right. But is the need to be right worth that? I guess so in their mind.
Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
I want to use what's useful.
No, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I ran into that at work this past week as well.
Oh, good. I mean, not good, but
no, but somebody actually unironically used the word turf, which what was it? Trans exclusive radical feminist, something like that is what it means.
Oh, wow.
But unironically, and it started a little bit of a debate. And at a certain point, I just said, you know what? A majority of the people don't want to know your opinion. They just want to know if you're on their side. That's all they want to know. If somebody at work or whatever asks your opinion about some social or political issue, they really don't want to know your opinion. They just want to know if you're on their side. If you're smart about it, you're on their side. It's like, yeah, sure, she's whatever you said. I don't know the word, but I agree with you. And then at home, you completely forget about it, and you go on your merry bigoted way, and you shitpost on Twitter. But they don't need to know that.
You have to be, when it comes to dealing with like administrative violence, especially from women, you have to be like low key. You have to be slippery. You have to be kind of. You have to. You have, yeah, you have to stay one step ahead. You have to be a Machiavellian, right? There have when I was when I was in the military, like you have to get this moralism out of the window. You just gotta stay afloat, keep your job, right? And you have to, always be kind of like one step ahead, right? One of the things I noticed is like reputation destruction is big. Women are really good at that. It's insanely good. Like they're so good at destroying your reputation, right? So you have to be able to navigate things like that, where it's just like, how do I protect myself from somebody who everyone's going to believe because she has tits or something like that, or because she's a female or something like that. So one of the things I just tell guys, like if you're going to, in the workplace, right? First thing is like, don't have sex with any coworkers, right?
Yes.
Now, now you're opening yourself up to like a lot of reputation destruction, everything from how you look naked to how you treated her to, you're playing favorites and all that stuff, right? And number two, competence will always get you through, right?
Yes.
Not always, but like if you're a competent guy, they will think twice about getting rid of you. And if they do get rid of you, you'll be able to find a job fast because you're just competent. Competent people are always going to have jobs or opportunities and all that stuff. And number three, always remember that just because it's a job doesn't mean you don't have to push up the charm and the likability. Being likable is going to save you so much pain in life. And always take the high road, right? When a girl's trying to like talk shit to you or try to tell on your bosses about you, right? You come into that office with a smile on your face. You say good morning to everyone. Hey guys, hey, this is done, that is done. And that's how I did it. I had a woman who was constantly doing reputation destruction behind my back, but face to face, she was a sweetheart, right? And I found out, and I'm like, oh, and instead of confronting her, I just, women aren't good with confrontation. I just did my job and just continued to do it. And then I would sit down with my boss and shoot the shit when work was done, and then I'd go back to work. And then eventually she got in trouble for making out with my boss on the ship, and she got sent away, and she got lots of trouble, right? So as long as you just stay focused, keep your frame, like John said, a lot of this bullying from both genders is going to dissipate, because you don't bully someone because you're a great person, that you're awesome and everything. You bully someone because you have deep insecurity and they're revealing it, So, yeah.
Yeah, interesting dynamic. I've had some success by offering credits too. Sometimes you can, it goes against the grain. You did it. But if you can give it, sometimes it gives you space to work around things and actually push things to your advantage. I know it's too much detail to get into here, but as you learn to adapt to corporate bullies, it's a different environment. You essentially are waiting for an opening to strangle them by giving them, that like a jiu-jitsu example is, here's my arm, John, go ahead and break it, but I got 2 moves ahead where I'm going to throw you back and around, and I'll end up getting back mount. You understand that I'll bait them, or you can, very advanced, but most of the time just avoid these things like the plague, try to just get away.
Rule number 1 of 40 Laws of Power: never outshine the master. Never make a girl look bad at work, ever.
Oh, that's
ever.
Horrible.
Yeah, ever. Don't make them look bad, because if you do, they will come after you. They will
en masse. They will gather together.
Yeah.
Okay, but don't be like me then.
You guys ever watch The Wicker Man? That's what you're going to do.
No, I called a girl. What was it? What's the word again? I called her in English. Let me look this up. Fickle. Oh yeah, that was it. I was kind of bantering with this girl at work, and at the end, I called her fickle, and she was like, "Fickle, fickle. What do you mean fickle? What does that even mean?" She started googling it and everything. Started asking her girlfriends at work, "Am I fickle?" It's like, well, you know, and. I just started laughing, and then the manager looked at me like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "Nothing," and she kept typing away, looking the definition of the word. I'd walk out because I was off. I'm like, "Sorry for the chaos I left you with." Manager looks at me. She looks at me. She's like, just go. Just go and I'll fix it.
Hey, you guys want to have fun? You got military guys here, right? So this is interesting. This just happened, and you can look it up on Google. I want to start with Jack. But you know, the Dutch have just followed the Swedes and the the Norwegians into mandatory conscription for females now. This is true. They just announced it. You can look it on the news. It was yesterday. So the Dutch now have conscription instead of it's going to be 11 months mandatory service for females. They're going full equality. And their reasoning is because of the Russian situation.
Really?
Yes, please look. I wanted to get your initial comments on this because if they're going into the military, do you think there might be opportunity for bullying there for them?
Let's see. But like, so it's now mandatory that they put women in? I've heard about it.
Yes,
and they pushed
conscription.
back on it?
Conscription, yes, full conscription.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Let me look this up real quick, and then I can give
Yes.
you an opinion. Conscription,
Interesting.
Dutch Army,
Women, yeah.
Netherlands,
Wow.
conscription and sexism, blah, blah, blah. Denmark to begin conscription. That was March 13th. Prime Minister, blah, 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 blah. Denmark plans to conscript women for military service. The Danish government revealed Wednesday. Blah, 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 blah. Norway. You do realize the Netherlands is not in Scandinavia, right? You're not pulling my leg here.
I'm not.
Okay, good. You wouldn't be the first.
Well, forgive me if I am. I'm just commenting on a brief that I saw.
Yeah, but I can't seem to find anything yet about the Netherlands yet.
Okay, I take that back.
I-
I'm talking Dutch. Let's just talk Dutch. Your
Yeah,
opinion.
no, the Netherlands are okay. So the language in the Netherlands is Dutch.
Right.
Okay, not German, not Deutsch. Dutch.
Right.
Girls born in 2003. Oh, here we have it. 2003. Yes, I heard about this. Okay, yeah. So it's here. Conscription letters. So it's not mandatory, but they get called upon.
What does conscription mean then?
Beats me. I can look that up real quick.
It sounds like it's going to be you're conscripted. It's kind of mandatory, right?
Well, in the Netherlands, it apparently isn't. I have heard about this because for boys, it was. Yeah, the Dienstplicht. Yeah, okay. So the conscription in the Netherlands right now is mostly ceremonial. Like it used to be mandatory, but like after everything, it became ceremonial. But now because of the Russia thing and things like that, and they still want to build this grand European army, they might revoke that and actually make it mandatory again. And then women born in 2003 will be taken, will be called upon as well. Now, what will that mean? I mean, Nuke has said it before. Nuke has had women in the Navy where they had to do like these rescue simulations, and no woman could carry a man.
Right.
And that's not sexist. That is just pure and simple biology.
Putting a woman as number one nozzleman on a fire hose is insane. Like, you know how heavy those things are? Like, those things will wear you. Like, even a strong guy that lifts weights, after 2 minutes, your arms are going to fall off.
Right. But
right?
the point that really struck me is that they have to say it and act like they mean it.
Yeah. We'll have to go along with it.
We all know
that
it's phony fake.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's funny and I think that in itself wears men out because we all have to play along with this. Like, hey, you're a 140-pound girl. You're going to put on 50 pounds of firefighter gear. You're going to go walk down a flight of stairs, which is hard enough, with a semi-charged hose. And when that hose charges, I don't know if, Paul, if you did firefighting in the Navy yourself.
A little bit.
Yeah, when that hose charges, it feels,
move you.
It'll move even the strongest dude, right? And
they have
we all have to play
jetpacks that
along.
lift you out of the ground with fire hoses, right?
Yeah, and we have to all play along, right? And we all as men too. This is the craziest thing. Where like men, where like if you said like even the smallest criticism of women in the military, sometimes, the people would be like, "Man, what's wrong with you? Why would you say that?" But then when you find out how the women are bullying each other in their birthing when they're living quarters, how catty and how mean they are, and what the things they say to each other, right? And I've had to step in and defend other females from females because of the way they were. Like, I'd have to sit down and be like, "What did she say to you?" She said this and she said that I sucked this guy's dick or whatever, whatever crazy thing. And I'd have to go to the other girl and be like, listen, hey, you're my friend, but can you please lay off this girl? Like, and I had to play the mediator too. It's insane, right? And then girls, it's just they do it so quietly and so behind the scenes that it doesn't register for us guys. We're just like, they're just so nice to each other all the time.
The military really removes that veil of the feminine mystique.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've probably mentioned it on the show once, right? But we had a chick in birthing that got so fucking drunk at one of our ports that we went to that she ended up shitting in a mop bucket. And all the chicks that were in my division were like, there was a fucking turd in the mop bucket. Like, who fucking does that? And you're like, women don't poop. Like, what?
No, they don't. Like, they absolutely don't.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. So everybody here has had a cubicle job, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Am I the only one here who has heard the women complain about the women's bathroom on how dirty it is?
Oh yeah. That's
military too. Military, they complain too.
It's like every time it's the woman's bathroom that is a complete fucking
disgusting. The bars, the women's bathroom is always the most disgusting.
And they say men are pigs.
They're absolutely animals.
You ever go in the break room? There's a lot of ladies, and you just listen, and it's basically complaint topping. One will vent and complaint, and then the next one has to have something more. Like
but me and mine,
and then the next one has to be even more.
I mean, we could go to work and be like, yeah, sorry guys, I'm not really myself today. My dad got cancer, blah blah blah. Oh, my aunt got cancer too. And did you know what she did? Well, it's like, for fuck's sake.
The cool thing about guys is that our reputation matters, but like we also understand that we're guys, right? So like you can go to the bathroom and be like, guys, sorry, I blew up the toilet. I'm sorry. Good luck in there. Like, I blew up the toilet. I did my best, but it's
Dude, I had some Navy buddies in my division. They got an apartment out in town, and I was over there hanging out one time, and this chick from our division, she showed up to the house because we're all hanging out there, and right when she walks up to the door, we're all standing outside smoking cigarettes, and the door's open. This guy Lukemeyer is upstairs. He's like, Yo guys, come and check out this fucking turd, man. He's like proud of this giant turd, and the chick Balchas walks up. She's like, "What the fuck?"
Oh man, Paul, do you know that story about Cappy, Atham, and Chad?
No,
that they apparently. Oh, and the Great One. So it was the Great One, Chad, Elkins, and Atham who were staying at Cappy, and one of those three apparently pooped in Cappy's upstairs bathroom, and they couldn't flush it.
Oh, no.
Oh wow.
It was bigger than the neck of the toilet.
There's a photo.
You have to like poke it to break it.
Yeah, no, one of the guys posted a photo where Atham and Chad, you see them looking at that toilet.
Oh,
like, how are we going to solve this?
With a stick?
Is that, remember?
At Cappy's house.
Yeah.
He's got actually a giant frame picture of Chad with a plunger. Yeah, okay. That's in his downstairs bathroom. He's got it framed and shit. Yeah.
That's the most important thing about being a guy is like you don't have to take things personally, right? If some guy just says, "Hey, you're the FAG word" or something, you can be like, "Yeah, okay, dude. I don't even know you, bro. Like, congratulations on your discovery."
Luke texts me that every day as a reminder. Like, hey, bro, just a reminder. You're an FAG, but you're the best FAG I know.
I'm probably not supposed to say this, but in the military, since it's like you're going back to high school basically on the ship, there were a couple guys that were just bullying me all to the point where it was annoying. Like I couldn't charm my way out of it. I couldn't, So like John was saying, you can't ignore it sometimes. Yeah. So I would just be like, hey, if it bothers you I'm playing video games right now, take this controller. Like I'd put the controller in front of him, like, come take it. Because I was done. I know you don't have a weapon. I know you have just as much to lose as I do. We're the same rank. How about we just figure this out? How about we go wrestle? And that's all I'm going to say about that. And guys, there's nothing better than knowing that someone doesn't have a weapon or isn't going to foul play and they just want to rough you up a little bit or rough each other up. You feel so much better afterwards. Like, F you, I hate you. Let's go to birthing and take care of this. And then someone watched the door, and then you take care of it, and you come out. Maybe you get a little bruise on your face or something, or maybe your arm hurts. And then, and then you had your friends to break it up. Like, hey, if it gets too bad, we'll break you up, So
I never came to blows in the military, really. But there was a guy named Casillas in my division. He was kind of a dick. And
there's always one.
One day, he went down to go do wake ups for watch, and he comes down and he's waking people up, and he comes to my rack, and I had a bottom rack, and he just fucking kicks my rack. He goes, "Get the fuck up, Bauer." And I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" And so
yeah, that's fighting words.
I got up. I did, I got ready. I went up to watch, and then when it was my turn for wake ups, because we did 6 on 6 off watches, I was like, I want to do wake ups. So I went down. I woke up everybody, and I kicked his fucking rack. I said, "Get the fuck up, Casillas." He got up and wanted to fight, and I was like, "Well, let's fucking do it. Let's do it."
Yeah,
right
and you just want to it's not like on the street or at a bar where
yeah,
they're fighting to win. They're fighting to kill you, right?
Yeah.
And the Navy is like, we have the same amount to lose. I know you don't have any weapons on you, and there's people around to separate us. So let's fucking go.
Casillas and I are we're like Facebook friends now, like no problems. He actually tunes into the podcast every once in a while. It's
Sweet.
Like, yeah,
there you go. But it was nice knowing that I could threaten someone like that, and there wasn't much to lose, because even if my boss found me, he was just like, boys will be boys, and he'd be like, hey, and it happened. But the only thing is that don't do it like in a dangerous area. Like, I got caught kind of screaming in a screaming match with some dude, but he was in a nuclear plant. And that's a big no-no, because there's pipes, there's heat, there's switches, there's breakers. So you could fuck yourself up and fuck someone else, and you could fuck up the ship too. Yeah, so they would be like, hey, go to your office. And that was code word for like, if you're going to fight, go somewhere else. Like, don't do it here. That's exactly what my dad would say too when I get into arguments with my brother. He's just like, stop screaming in the house. I don't want you screaming in here. Go out in the yard. The grass is soft. That's all he would say. And yeah. So if you have a brother, it's good practice. Just don't hurt your brother. It just happens,
Excellent. Oh, did I lose my audio?
So we're pretty agreed on getting your butt into training. You got kids, get them to martial arts. I think the regular exposure to violence, the sparring is very important to get used to that, the style, I tell this to people all the time, is the best martial art to train for self-defense is the one that you're going to train the most, right? Find out what's near you. Maybe all you have near you is a Muay Thai school. Well, maybe that's what you got to go with, because that's the one you're going to be able to go to regularly 3 times a week and learn some Muay Thai. They got some clinch work, some knees, some elbows. Yeah. You can even go down the Lithway rabbit hole and learn some headbutts in there, 9 limbs, right? Jiu-jitsu is one that I highly recommend, not because it's the greatest for fighting and it's the greatest martial art ever, no, but because it is the easiest one to do at full speed for your whole life, right? You're less likely to get injured doing jiu-jitsu than you are probably any other martial art. And you can do it until you're in your 60s or 70s if you're taking care of yourself and you're healthy. So that's why I recommend jiu-jitsu, because there's a lot of places that offer it. It's safe. It's very effective, and you can get after it, and you can get after people at a full full tilt feeling and not get hurt. And that's a good thing. That's why I recommend that. But you still need to learn a little bit of wrestling. You still need to learn some wrestling, takedown, defense, some clinch work, how to control people. You got to mix it up. There is no one style that's superior. That's why we have mixed martial arts. You need to learn numerous things. And if you're going to have to deal with multiple attackers, you're going to have to learn you're going to have to learn how to run and fight at the same time.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that UFC just sort of highlighted is the importance of like having a standing fighting method and a ground game method, and how important it is to know a little bit of both, you know?
Yep. And even though after all these years, there's still guys who seem to not do anything when it regards to escaping bottom. I don't get it.
I had that habit for a while.
Guys just kind of hold on. Stand me up, ref. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
All right. So any other tips? Anything else you can think of on
Develop a strong
dealing
voice.
with these kids? Because there is going to be a little bit of a reaction, right? Your kid cracks a bully, pops him in the mouth. Well, now he might be the one who is suspended. Good. Like, I don't think him being in that environment, if he got to the point where the bully's got your kid cornered, your kid feels like he needs to strike back, it's already a toxic environment. Maybe you don't want your kid there. This whole, like, that's one of the things I'm starting to realize, like the whole, you can't homeschool your kids. Like, they'll be weird. Like, why is public school like a good alternative? Why is bullying and drag story hour and
I hate America.
Yeah, I hate America. Why is all this stuff somehow better for the kids than homeschooling and like controlling? Because you're gonna have to still send them to like swim class and jiu-jitsu class and all that other. They're still gonna have friends and people they meet and hang out with, and like they're gonna, and it's gonna be better kids than just the punks at school.
Yeah, and it's nice to have your dad on your side. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, like if you get suspended because you defended yourself like a man, it's nice for your dad to play the game like, oh, I'm so appalled that my son will do that. And then, when you're walking to the car, be like, good, you give him a fist bump. Your son is going to respect you so much more, and that bond between father and son is just going to grow. Like, I can't imagine my dad ever like kind of denigrating me or scolding me because I did the right, or I was a man. I acted like a normal dude would,
So that was actually passed to me when I encountered my bullies. Full support from Odin. Absolutely 100%. And I passed that to my son. When he was off for 2 weeks, we had the best adventures ever. The best.
Well, yeah, I mean, Vikings, you guys go to Valhalla when you die in battle. I mean, that's the goal. So.
Die epic.
Everybody wants to be a Viking, yet here I am wanting to be Loki. It's like Loki just looks like he has more fun.
Loki is an integral part of our humanity. I mean, I agree with you.
You have to be swift. You have to be one step ahead. Like Loki was always, Loki had a muse mastery. He knew how to mess with people.
Yep. I mean, they make him funny, but boy, you look at the mythology, it's an important part of a human psyche, really. I mean, there's some lessons there, kind of esoteric, but it's important as well for another show.
They end up catching him, but
like the god of mischief just seems like the best job in the world. It's like,
Yeah.
I think
And
we
all have it.
covered pretty much all we can cover
Yeah.
with the bullies. I think we did a great job. Let's go around the horn and see what everybody's got going on this week. Start off here with Thor.
Sure, not much, man. Just recovering here and trying to get used to the new studio. But guys, I will pitch one thing. You want to make some money? You want to make $100,000 to $300,000 a year? I have a video that you guys can go and download at becomedurable.com on what steps you need to take to become a power lineman. It is really needed. Corporate America is locking down right now with all those cube jobs. You're going to see it already. Job freezes happening, but skilled labor, it's all about it. You're not afraid to get up early, stay up late, work in the weather. You can make a killing as a young man. Go over to Become Durable and check out my short video, which is super reasonable, on where you need to go, what kind of search you need to do to prepare yourself so that you can get in front of that line and get yourself inserted as an apprentice power lineman across anywhere, actually, but in the US and Canada, all the schools are included in there. So definitely go check that out. And check the rest of the stuff out. I got it at becomedurable.com. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. See you on the Dragon Ship.
Paul.
Yeah, I'm hosting Dragon Ship again because of all the slackjaw bundles of sticks that won't step up and do it. I'm just kidding.
Hey, come on, man. I mean, I am really trying here, buddy.
No. I'm not talking about you, Thor. You have a legit.
All right,
excuse.
I'll get the next one then. Fine.
But we're going to be talking about how situationships aren't a fucking thing. So we're going to talk about that right after Rule Zero at was it 1:30?
Yeah.
1:30 Eastern time. Tune into the podcast on Monday. My guest is Mike Sartain, from Access Vegas. You may have heard of him. He works with a guy named Rollo Tomasi.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike Sartain's PR lady reached out to me to be on my show. So because I'm kind of a big deal. And then guys, do listen to my my book on Audible. I dropped a link to that in the chat. RP Thor did the narration for it. So
It's a good book.
it's pretty fucking epic, guys. That's all I got, John.
Alrighty. Jack.
Hello. So this show today is sponsored by KFC. That's
The
saying
KFC fleshlight.
no.
Kentucky Fried Crew Cheese.
The iced Coke. Iced Coke. It's a banger. And my channel will be in the chat. We had a red evening last night, this morning for me. Rob couldn't make it, unfortunately, because he was doing awesome shit like fire breathing and dancing performances. So I had Red Hawk, Nick August, and Governor Megatron on. And Nuke would have been there if he wasn't such a raging, what. But he was busy.
Working.
Working. Yeah. No, I get it. Work is more important than I. No, I get it.
Gotta keep the infrastructure society going. Yeah.
The infrastructure of society is more important than hanging out with me. By God, man, get your priorities straight.
Yeah, you're right. I should probably have this thing.
But tomorrow we're gonna have a show with Post Zero, Nuke, Archwinger, Dante, Red Hawk, Governor Megatron. Hopefully, Mish, Jet of Arabia, will be there again. And Rule Zero Dad, and we're going to go through Have a Look. So that will probably be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the sun is just coming in.
Hey. Nuke.
Shows 7 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays Central Time. I talk about basic red pill game concepts and stuff like that, mindset stuff. I'll be on, like Jack said, Sunday at 10:30 Central or 10 Central. Talk about dressing the part, and join me in a couple of minutes for Dragon Ship, guys, and sign up, subscribe to the Patreon. I'll put the link in the chat. So thank you.
All right. Check out John Fitch Knows Nothing tomorrow at 7 p.m. on the left coast. There's fights today I'll be watching, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Thanks for